Hello everyone, and I'm sorry about the shakiness straight off the bat, but welcome back, and thank you for joining me again. Um, Want to do a little fragrance review here in the evening after work on Creed's Tabarome. Now I was pretty spurred on to do this video because of some very kind comments on my last videos, uh, and of course thank you for the subscription. You know who you are. Um, but yeah, we'll just get right into it. Now, this last summer, right before fall hit, I took part in a split again with Mr. Dan Mickersmish. I had seen and been reading about Tabarome for quite a little while. I was very interested in it because it is apparently a tobacco-based fragrance with ginger and a few other predominant notes, but the main ones being ginger, tobacco, a little bit of almost like a brown sugary quality to it. As far as official notes go, if you're very interested in that, I would highly suggest looking that up. I don't know them off the top of my head, but when it comes to a fragrance this complex, it really doesn't do the fragrance a whole lot of justice to sit here and read to you through, off of a script about all the different notes that are in here. Suffice it to say that when you smell this, you're mainly getting tobacco, ginger, and leather. It's a very, very manly fragrance. Not so much to the point where a woman could not wear it, but if a woman did wear this, in my opinion, especially if her skin was anything like mine, I would suggest that the woman be very comfortable with herself, be very comfortable in her dress, as far as her style of dress, of course, and not be afraid to be adventurous. This is, if a woman were to wear this, you're going to need to be pretty adventurous. However, this fragrance it's very good. This is the decant itself. It was a 15. It was either 10 or 15 milliliters, if I'm not mistaken. I believe it was 10 milliliters. But I've gone through about 7 or 8 of them, and the first time I wore this, I actually received it after a wedding. I was still working third shift, and again, it was a pretty humid day, a little bit of rain coming through, and I remember as soon as I got it, I was taking my daughter home to lay her down to bed before I went to work, and of course I immediately took it out of the package while I was still in the car and sprayed it on my wrist, and was not expecting what I smelled. If I'm perfectly honest with you, I was a bit put off by it, and that seems to be fairly common with fragrances for me, especially ones from Creed. The only Creed I've ever smelled right off the bat and really, really enjoyed was Original Vetiver. And you could probably, if you've seen my videos, that's obvious because I have 2 videos for Original Vetiver. But that's beside the point. Creed's Tabarome is truly a fragrance that is for an acquired nose. It's also truly a fragrance in which you need to be mindful of the dry down. This fragrance is such a jumbled mix of notes on my skin that you can't make heads or tails of it until you become familiar with the scent. When I first spray this on, personally, it is, like I say, a jumbled mix of notes. To a very trained nose, you're going to smell citrus, you're going to smell ginger, and you're going to smell a little leather, but this is a sweet leather. This is not a leather jacket leather. This is like a leather that's been aged, that's had, ginger and citrus, and all 3 of those together create an odd mix of really sweet gingery leather. It's very weird. My wife, when we were together, did not like this at all. She never liked it. But again, she's younger. Granted, I'm only 25, but yeah, she's 2 years younger than I am, and had never smelled a complex, authentic French perfume or cologne. So definitely, again, this is where I say you need to have an experienced nose or a very open mind for the dry down. This fragrance is deceptive in its scent. This is probably the only fragrance I've ever worn that truly, truly smells nothing like the way it smells when you spray it on 4 hours later. My one best example that I can think of is the first time I gave this a full-on wearing, being conscious of what I was smelling. My current job, the best job I've ever had, is I'm a salesman, and oftentimes there are, of course, slow points in my business, and so I have time to kind of have time for myself, and so it's nice. I can sit and kind of wander about and that kind of thing with my fragrances. So but I remember the last time I gave Tabarome a full wearing. Sorry about that. Yeah, the last time I wore this, I decided I'm going to give this a full review, and so it dawned on me that it was time when I was speaking to a gentleman about some different products, and I remember thinking, as we were talking, I thought to myself, this man, whatever he's wearing smells very good, and I didn't want to ask him because he was one of those people that probably would have been a little like, what are you talking, just a little put off by that kind of question, so I didn't. But I remember when he walked away, I could still smell it, and I'm thinking, man, that stuff's hanging on. But then a coworker walked by me, and he said, I don't know what you're wearing today, but that smells very good. And it was a man, so I was kind of stunned by that. And I was like, are you sure that that's me? He said, yeah, I've been smelling you all day, man. He said, it's only gotten better over time. And then it dawned on me, I'm smelling myself, and the Tabarome has transformed. I remember taking a step back intentionally and pushing air over my neck, because I went the way I wear my cologne is 1, 2, and then 3 back here. And when I did that, yeah, it passed over me, and there it was. It was deep, it was tobacco, and it was good. Like, it was sweet pipe tobacco with a touch of leather. The citrus was gone, and the ginger was there. It was sweet kind of ginger. And that is where this fragrance deceived me. When I read ginger in a note list, I think of spice. Spice ginger, the hot stuff you put in your mouth, chew, or put into a dish, and it's spicy. Not so in this. The citrus makes the ginger sweet, and it smells kind of weird, if I'm perfectly honest with you. When you first spray it on, it is not traditional whatsoever. So do not, if you've not tried this, do not think that you're going to smell spicy ginger. You absolutely will not. The tobacco isn't even spicy. It's sweet. And Mr. Creed, whoever formulated this, they really, really changed the game. I get the feeling. I've smelled many different tobaccos. I live with cigarette smokers. I've lived with pipe smokers. I've smelled many different tobacco fragrances out of bottles, as well as many bags of pipe tobacco. I've smoked it myself, even though I don't smoke, or I don't anymore. And it's deceptive. And I get the feeling that a lot of people are put off by this fragrance. I get the feeling that a lot of people sleep on this fragrance because they don't understand what's happening. You really, really need to have an open mind when you first start wearing this. Because even the first time I put it on, I was like, this is not good. I don't understand I didn't understand what was happening. After about 4 or 5 wearings, so I'm like, this is excellent stuff. Full bottle worthy. I'm going to go ahead and put that out there. The only reason I haven't purchased a bottle is because I haven't gone through my decant. I've got I now have in my collection 2 or 3 leather fragrances. I have 2 full bottle leather fragrances, excluding Aventus. Aventus being Aventus is a hit or miss. Some have leather, some batches don't. So, can't really classify that. Tabarome is sweet leather, sweet ginger, and authentic pipe tobacco that's not been smoked. And that's really what you get. And I'm not talking sugar sweet either. I'm talking about, it's kind of hard to put into words, if I'm honest with you. If you could just imagine, like bergamot is in a lot of fragrances nowadays. So if you can imagine that bergamot sweetness mixed, or imagine the bergamot sweetness toning down the spicy tobacco and the spicy ginger. It's the best way I can think to put it. Now, and I do realize that to folks who are not very familiar, you're not going to be able to make sense of it. This is one of those fragrances that people can talk about, but you really just don't know until you smell it. But I can promise you that if you are interested in expanding your palate, Tabarome is one to try, because in the dry down, 4 to 5 hours later, it's still strong, and the tobacco really shines through. And it's worth it. It's very worth it. You just have to be mindful that this is not going to follow suit with mainstream fragrance. This will not follow suit with mainstream leather or tobacco. If you can get past that and be mindful of it, you would enjoy this. It's not offensive. It's non-headache inducing. It smells quite natural, and it's long lasting. And I could understand this might not be some people's cup of tea. At first, it wasn't mine, but this is it's an overtly masculine fragrance, but again, a comfortable woman with proper attire, this would make sense on a well-dressed woman. This seems like an all-year-round fragrance because the citrus, the way it sweetens the other notes out, it keeps it tame enough for the springtime and summer months, but because of the heavier leather and the tobacco notes, it makes it appropriate for fall and winter. So this is a good all-year-round scent. I would say this would make a great date scent if you apply it about 3 hours before you leave. I know that sounds silly, but if you like this fragrance and you want to try it out on a date, 3 or 4 hours before the date. Give yourself a good shower, all that lovely stuff. Go about 3 or 4 sprays for my kind of skin. It'll work. It would work for sure. Great office scent. It's not too strong, and it's not too light. I've worn it enough times to stand by that observation. So, again, I appreciate your view if you've watched. I hope this has answered any sort of questions that you may have thought about while considering or seeing other posts and talk about Tabarome. This truly is a quote-unquote sleeper fragrance, but it's good. It's good. This is quality stuff again. Another quality fragrance from Creed. Yeah, so that's about all I got. We'll see you next time. I'm going to try to put out a video here in the next day or two, and we'll see what happens. Until then, take care.